G'day, my name's Burke. This is Life is Feudal Forest Village. The game's currently just come out in early access, so there will be or maybe some bugs, crashes and things you may experience. This game is a city builder along the same sort of vein. If you like games like Anno and Banished, then this game will probably be right up your alley. So let's just get started with the first thing. You're going to be starting with the map here. You want to be staying small plains and mild climate for now. If this is your first couple of playthroughs, you probably want to stick to this because I think it's the easiest map to go with. If you go, once you get better, you might want to go with hills and mountains and things like that are going to provide a much greater challenge in harsher climates. And obviously the normal size world, but for now I doubt very much through this playthrough anyway that we'll get bigger than this. You probably want to turn disasters off as well for the first couple of playthroughs, because having disasters on is going to make it difficult to judge how your workers are behaving and what they're doing. So we'll just get started here. First thing you want to do when the map starts is have a quick look at your surroundings and judge where you're going to be putting what buildings. Once the map kicks in, I'm just going to quickly whip up the first buildings we need, explain the buildings, and then I'll go through the menu with you so that you know what's going on. So I'd like to just go out a bit to see what's going to be going where. So the first thing you want to do is, this is general information. Along here's your professions. You want to get that up. First thing I normally do, whack all 6 people into builders, because obviously you need builders first. So if we go along here, I'll explain these menus in a second. Just want to get this started. Next thing we want is the gatherer's hut, and we want him to be going about there. And then last but not least, fishing hut. Okay, so while these are getting built, this is your speed down here. You can increase or decrease the speed and pause the game. I usually just run it on about 5 times while the first building's being put up. You can see this guy here, he has a little house over his head. He's homeless. We will need to stick up a house for him at some point. I'll just wait until the first building's been constructed before we do that. So like I said before, this is your general information. Profession's about the only one I'm worried about at this stage of the game. Then you have your terraforming for flattening the ground, raising, slopes, that sort of thing. This is helpful for throwing up new buildings on. Then you have resource gathering. This is to collect ore. I generally use these in the first winter. Sorry, one of the things I forgot to mention here. The general information is actually where you'll find your deconstruction for buildings. So yeah, you might want to keep that in mind. I couldn't find it for quite a while when I first started playing the game. So we were on houses. Houses are quite important to take note of. The resource size, and when you click on it, it will tell you there how many people it can fit, the happiness it generates, and the strength. These also have indications for your pregnancy rate and things like that as well. So yeah, Foresters Lodge hasn't been built yet. Assigning people to the various tasks. So we want to get a small house put up first. This is more important than the shacks. I'll explain all that in just a moment. So you got your various house sizes. I don't worry about building shacks. Shacks are a waste of time. I usually go with small houses, but I don't get rid of the first 3 shacks for quite a while, because if you try to upgrade at this stage of the game, it may change in the future, but at this stage of the game, if you don't have another building for them to relocate, even if you upgrade, so you can click on that and you can upgrade from 3 residents to 4 residents, added strength and happiness, you will lose any children that are in the building, and if it takes too long for them to put the house up, then the occupants that are in there, adults, may starve to death. So I want to carry on from there. We've got storage here, then your food production, that's your fishing hut, gatherer's hut, hunting cabin, which we also want to get put in. I generally put this relatively close to the main base because these people also protect you. So you might want to bear that in mind. They protect the villages from wild animal attacks and things like that. Okay, and then we have your orchards, fields. Fields are very important. You can't access any of these at the start of the game. These are your chicken coops. Windmill, which isn't actually necessary for the production of bread. You can build the bakery first. The windmill will convert grain into flour, and that allows you to bake things like pies and stuff like that. Then we have here, it's your forester's lodge, your lumberjack's lodge. That's another building you want to get up before the first winter, so that you don't run out of firewood. And then you have your quarries, mines. I'll show you those later on. None of these are that important at this stage. Your carpenter's workshop and your weaver's workshop is something you want to get on relatively quickly. The weaver's workshop is the most important because it allows you to make clothes, which will give your villagers survivability during the winter. And over here we have the other buildings: port, school, tavern, herbalist hut, healer's shop. The pie is quite important. It allows you to burn the body, so when the first person dies, I highly recommend that you build a pyre so that they can be cremated, and that stops things like plagues spreading and stuff like that. Other thing you want as well, if you build a field a little bit out of town, you want to build a well so that they don't have to walk back and forth to keep the crops watered. So that's how you harvest all the resources in the local area. Anyone not busy will start gathering the resources. This allows you to keep constructing buildings. And yeah, this is just your roads, various types of roads. I don't usually worry about the roads straight away. They don't think they're that necessary at the start of the game. So one of the things you want to worry about are your population. So you can fit 3 people in these basic shacks, 5 in the normal one, and you can build, the other one you want to build is the house, which allows 10 people. So up here, the top here, tells you how many people total in your village. Here we can fit 9 plus 5, so that gives us 14 people. Once you hit 14 people, no new babies will be born. So this is handy if you're stuck at the moment and you can't quite figure out what you want to do, or you just want to keep the population stagnant for now, then don't build any new buildings. But if you want to keep the population growing at a steady rate, then once you get close to your pop cap, you probably want to whack up a new house along here somewhere. The other thing you need to do is keep the village as tight knit as possible, because they have to walk to their workplace. So the further away they have to go, the less they accomplish. Okay, so we'll just go through here. What I usually do, the gatherer's hut wants to be close. Seems to perform the best when it's close to where the storage goes. So I want to try and get 2 people in there. During the winter time you can use these guys for other tasks. Fishing hut, try and keep 1 person in there. I like to keep, if I can, 2 people in the hunting cabin at all times. I think there is a mechanic in the game where you can overhunt and overfish, so I found if you keep them at 2, they seem to keep up with the steady supply of meat. Just start with 1 forester at this stage. We want to get a little bit of wood stored up so that once winter hits, we can begin making firewood. And at some stage we'll want to upgrade this. This allows them to manufacture firewood at a faster rate. So these are the first buildings you want to get up before winter hits. The earlier you can get your food up, the better. You want to get as good a supply of food as you can so that you can get through the winter. So yeah, that's all your menu sorted out. Job allocation, generally I try to keep at least one person running each thing. So you've got the fisherman's hut. Apparently you can fish the resources out. I'm not sure how that works yet, because I would like to see it implemented where you can see what your current year's total is versus your last year's total. So you can see if it's starting to decline, you can build another hut and move people away. Gatherer's hut at this stage, I think that's a little bit OP at the moment, and I strongly suspect that it's going to be nerfed at some stage in the future, because I found that by the time winter hits, you will have roughly between 1,000 to 1,300 units, and if you put a field up of 3 people, which is the maximum you can have in the Gatherer's hut, you'll only be getting 800 to 850 units out. And bear in mind, this 1,000 units is done with 2 people, so yeah, I think that's probably a little bit OP at the moment, probably going to be nerfed at some stage. One of the other things you need to bear in mind as well is the work distance. So if I whack up, say I want to build a field, the further a distance they have to walk to work the field each day, the less likely they are to get much work done, and so you can wind up with your crops not being harvested properly. So you need to make it as easy as possible, and that's one of the first things you want to be doing, is looking around and seeing where you're going to be replacing certain buildings. You also want to be keeping an eye out on things like stone quarries. See the yellow areas? That is where you can build, and it tells you there, stone 1,975 units. So you can build there, and if you move your mouse around, see it jumps up. So you want to place it where it's going to harvest you the most resources, and it's also a good idea to get it as close to the village as you can to start with. And then you want to check your other ores, and this just gives you a general idea, so you don't want to be whacking a farm up right where this yellow area is, because it's going to be giving you some good resources, and obviously if you don't put it there, then they're going to have to travel further to get the resources there. So you just want to quickly check where these are going to be going. They probably won't be going up in the first winter. We'll just whack this up on 10 for now, because there's not a whole lot else that we want to be building at this stage of the game. So we've got our main buildings done. That's your well there. Once we hit 4, we probably want to allocate someone to be cutting the firewood so that we don't run out of firewood. They use firewood to cook and keep warm, so if a person's homeless, they can't eat, and that can cause some problems, which is why when you relocate, like if you're going to upgrade your house, you want to build a new house first, so that the people can shuffle around. The computer will automatically shuffle people around to fit into the available housing. If there's no housing available, they're homeless, they can very well starve and die. So yeah, we just want to get a feel for where we're going to be building bits and pieces. Once winter hits, you have spare workers left over, because the Gatherer's hut doesn't work anymore. So that's when we want to be building our first field, which I suspect I'll probably do over around this area here. Yeah, I probably should have put this hunting cabin up here a bit further so that the fields and that are protected as well, because they stop people from getting things like the plague and that sort of thing. So it's quite important to be aware of where you're placing certain buildings, because they can actually wind up needing this healer's hut here. The healer's shop, sorry, will cure the plague and things like that, as far as I'm aware. I haven't actually built one yet, I haven't needed to. So into late summer, you see we're already at 600 units. That's what I mean. This thing is pretty good earlier on in the game. I think it keeps you going for a good 3 to 4 years before you even need to worry about building crops. Same thing with the hunting cabin. Give you a good amount of meat. and I haven't really noticed, if I put 4 people in the hunting cabin, I haven't really noticed a huge increase in the food output, so that's another reason why I'd usually just stick to 2 people. So down here you got your notification bar as well. This sort of tells you what's going on. So a child's just grown. Another thing I'd like to see implemented is different food intakes for the different people. Not sure 100% if that's how it works at the moment, but I think that you have the adult which consumes a full amount of food. I think that children should consume 1/3, and then teenagers 2/3, and then your adults your full amount. Seems to be a fair way to do it. Another thing that I would like to see implemented in the game is being able to assign particular people to particular jobs, because like I said before, if you build a field here and your village spreads out along here and you have a house over here, and then what happens in the winter, you reassign your workers. They're probably going to be working in mines or making clothes or tools, things like that. So basically what will happen is, if the computer reassigns someone from this house here to work in the field, they're going to walk all the way there and probably not get anything done, so nothing's going to get harvested, and you will wind up losing your whole colony. Everyone will die of starvation, simply because you have no control over who gets allocated to the tasks. Whereas if I have a field here and I can access this building here, so say we'll just pause it for now. If I select this person here, that tells me that their work is a hunter-gatherer. If I could click on that and then scroll through the professions, click on what I want, so field hand, and then this person, say they live in here, they only have to work 5 feet to work, I'm going to get maximum use out of that field. I would think that that would be a good way to do it. So we've got an extra worker here, we'll just whack him on here for now, just to get that going. So you can run the game at whatever speed you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. I usually just do this at full speed when there's nothing much going on, nothing much you can do. You're waiting for the resources to gather. I usually, because when people aren't busy, they'll start gathering the resources, so I always go on here and do the harvest all sort of thing, just so that people that have nothing to do instantly get allocated with tasks. So you see we're in 4 and we've already got 1,000 units of vegetable. That without anything else is enough to see you through the winter. So you can see what I mean, like getting together is probably your #1 priority. But these buildings are the ones you want up in the first year. So you want your fishing hut, gatherer's hut, and the placement of these may change as the game changes through development. Right now you get maximum benefit from having your gatherer's hut right next to your village, and your hunting hut will also, hunting cabin, sorry, will also produce quite a lot more if it's relatively close to your village, which makes no sense to me. I mean, I've never caught a deer in anyone's backyard before. So you see we've got another baby born there, so our population's up to 12, so we will need to look at getting another building up at some stage. I'll probably have a look at that now. So where the red is, you can't build, so you can terraform to allow that to happen. Chuck one person on that for now. It's not vital that that gets built right this minute. So that will give us a total of 19 people that we can have. So yeah, the hunting cabin's about maxed out now. When we get more people, I want at least 2 people running the Forester's Lodge. And I really would like to see what they're harvesting. That does bug me a bit that I can't see that at the moment. Yeah, so I was hoping to get to winter before the end of the episode, but I don't want it to run for too long, so we'll probably leave it here for now. And then, yeah, next episode I will probably start going through winter, and we'll take a look at some of these other buildings that we want to get put up as quickly as possible. So I think what was the clothing is definitely the next priority. So we'll get a field put up in the winter, and then we will start producing flax in the next year, and then we'll start worrying about things like wills close to there, and I'll show you a few other things that we want to be building along the line. So yeah, thanks for joining me in this first episode, and I look forward to seeing you in episode number 2. Thanks, this is Burke signing off.